What's poppin', y'all? We recently got some video clips of T.I. and Boosie confronting their sons for having guns and waving around guns in a music video that they were in. And a bunch of people are praising this, and some people are showing, I would say, criticism towards T.I. and Boosie. So I'll play you guys the clip, and then we'll get into my thoughts.
Treat mine like you treat yours.
Why y'all got so much time, bro? Why y'all always gotta have guns?
What is it about the guns, man?
It's not illegal to have guns.
Well, in the manner in which you portraying in the lifestyle, this shit don't look legitimate, sir.
Cause I'm not supporting no whole. I'm not
Can't do it.
I'm not.
What kind of parent gonna support their kids and they'll goddamn slide,
Guns,
ride,
nigga.
pop? And then
You got a gun in your book there?
those motherfuckers 12 pull up and they say, hey, who do you belong to? Who raised their hand? Somebody got to raise their hand.
I've been seeing him around too here a lot.
You gonna raise your own hand?
I've been seeing him around too.
Huh?
Well, when you got drugs, it ain't.
I know that. You got drugs
When
in
y'all got drugs around those
drugs.
legal guns,
That called
it's not legal.
possession of a firearm and commission of a crime, sir. That is a felony.
Yeah.
Thank you. This shit ain't, hey man, this shit ain't free. This shit come out of court. I can't believe this shit, man. What happened to some motherfuckers? Why y'all don't make no motherfucking love music? You got girls right here. Why don't you talk about being in love, man? Why don't you talk about wanting to lay down and you know.
So you just saw that clip. A bunch of people are saying, yeah, respect to these guys. They're trying to set up better life for their kids. And then now their kids are pointing at guns at the camera and all this. Now, to be honest, I understand the praise and respect the parents for being against this. However, I think there are deeper issues that people aren't considering. And I don't want to call them issues because these are just perspectives. It's actually, I don't want to call it issues because people will think I'm critiquing parenting, which too many people do that. And I'm not doing that in this situation. However, I do think that people aren't taking into consideration how these kids were raised. For instance, T.I. was caught with guns. I don't know if I don't remember many music videos of T.I. with guns in them. Now, Boosie, I don't know. I haven't watched many Boosie music videos, especially old music videos in my life. I just listened to Boosie music. I heard Boosie music here and there, him and Webby. I didn't listen to them too frequently, but I did hear the music. I just didn't watch the music videos. However, both of these kids, King and Boosie's son, their father was in jail while they were young. So they've experienced having the parent absent. Money isn't going to replace that. And that's not to say that they were raised poorly because of that, but that is a perspective that they had. They saw their parents being locked up, or their parents, and they were, of course, into their parents' music. People of their age were showing it to them, especially if they grew up in the regions where they were popping. T.I. was nationally popping, even worldwide, you could say, with some songs. The problem that I would have with this, and where I have a degree of empathy for King and Boosie's son. King, I've had criticism of him in the past, and he does do too much. I think he's always just trying to prove himself. But this particular situation, I don't think a lot of people think about saving face. So, for instance, Boosie and T.I. show up. Some people will say, let's say a simple criticism could be, oh, they should have just called him and let them know what they heard instead of showing up there and barging there. And it's unlikely that the kids are going to pick up the phone. However, going there and then being recorded in a clip while you're scolding your son is an embarrassing experience. They could have pulled him over to the side and said, hey, son, we need to get rid of this music. We need to get rid of these guns, all this other stuff. That's another angle they could have taken. And I'm not saying that they should have done anything differently. It's just that is an embarrassing moment for the kids. And it makes the parent look good in social media wise to the detriment of T.I.'s son and Boosie's son. Because these guys are trying to portray a certain image. And I don't think they're trying to portray that image. I do think they're wrong for trying to portray that image. They shouldn't. Even if they're actually living that lifestyle, which Gilly's son apparently was living that lifestyle. And he's passed away now, unfortunately. But the humiliation aspect, it hurts the brand. And it hurts their reputation just amongst people that they know. Like, man, yeah, King his dad just showed up the other day, took away all his guns. Yeah, isn't that funny? Then they'll just make fun of that person that way. And some people will say, oh no, well, he's teaching them to do the right thing. These guys aren't, well, Boosie's son I haven't seen get into much trouble. King, I have actually seen him get into trouble. And I will say that T.I. and Boosie are probably not even responsible for the behavior that their sons are exhibiting. These guys gave them a good upbringing, but I don't think the good upbringing is enough. And that's not to criticize their parenting, to be completely clear, because there are other parents that give their kids good upbringings. Sure, they may not have been as rich as T.I. or Boosie. However, the kid didn't have to worry for anything. They were in a nice neighborhood. They didn't even really see guns like that when it came to illegal activity or the way that they're portrayed in music videos. But since 2012, drill music, the popular hip-hop music, and it's had waves and ebbs and flows, peaks and troughs, that's what's inspiring them. And we've got suburban kids now since 2018. I don't want to point them out and kind of call them out, but there are a bunch of these rappers that point guns at the camera or just like pose with them, and they grew up well off. Not rich, but they grew up well off so that they didn't have to do this. But they were inspired by the music that people their age were listening to. And I think that's the same exact thing with King and Boosie's son. They're not inspired by their dads when it comes to music. That probably wasn't the music that they were listening to. They're a little bit young for that. Maybe if they were some years older. They were listening to drill music. They're probably listening to Chief Keef. They're probably listening to Chicago, King Von for sure. Absolutely, King was listening to King Von. And that's what influenced them, and they're thinking about it from the perspective of, yo, this is what's lit in our age right now, and we're gonna do that. Same thing Boosie was doing. Now Boosie was an innovator, but T.I., Boosie, when they started rapping, they were probably copying what was hot at the time, and that's what these kids are doing. And I like the way that King responded to his father too. He's like, hey, there's nothing illegal about guns. And then T.I. addressed him and said, it's the way that you're portraying the guns. And this is an interesting quote because a lot of people seem to oppose this, especially, and in good reason, right? We get a bunch of people opposing this on social media saying, oh, when white kids are holding guns or being taught to use guns, it's cool. But when like other groups of people are doing that, it's seen as dangerous or they're going to grow up to be criminals. And that is a very good point that people make. So with T.I.'s case, it's different because his kid's grown, and the lyrics definitely have to have a certain tone and angle for it to not be glorifying guns and portraying them as if they are illegal. But that the gun thing, it really made me think because Waka Flocka, he was pre-drill, but didn't influence drill. Chief Keef was even talking about how Waka Flocka heavily influenced him. And did we even really see guns pointed at music videos back then? Even old Gucci Mane, we weren't really seeing that. So that's something that I think Chicago drill really started. And there's a contrast to both of these guys, which is Trey Budden, who's Joe Budden's son. And we don't get too much press, noise, coverage of Trey Budden. And some people could see that as a good thing or a bad thing. But Trey Budden's son raps, and he commented on this post where T.I.'s son and Boosie's son were being critiqued by their parents, and he said the following: shit, I know dad wouldn't tolerate stuff like that either. It's about wanting your kids to do better than you did, especially when you don't have to act that way when you're in a more fortunate circumstance. We've seen kids that grew up in really fortunate circumstances. Let's just take Lil Mabu, for instance. Lil Mabu is doing these go to the hood videos. He adopted this entire persona character that he plays, and he thinks it's cool. But he grew up well off, doing really well. He went to a very, very expensive private school. So I think that's the contrast there, and where I don't necessarily blame, well, I do blame them because these are their own actions, but they were influenced by what was prevalent in the culture and their age group and what was seen as cool. They didn't just venture into this for no reason. But Trey is a good example because he's Joe Budden's kid and he raps, and we don't hear from him because he's not that popular of a rapper. I think he's building up a buzz in Jersey, but that's good too, because when do we ever hear about Boosie or King? We hear about them in relation to their fathers, like in this scenario, or we hear about King in particular doing something outlandish, trying to be a gangster, which that's where I will say T.I.'s criticism is true. But with Trey, he's not trying to do any of that. And if we're going to hear about him, it would be from music, which is a better situation to be in, because are these guys influencers or are these guys rappers? Now, if King was trying to be just a personality, that's a different take that I would have. With Trey, it seems like he's trying to be a rapper. And this comment actually got me to check out his music. So I'm going to check it out immediately after this. So I hope he continues to do his thing. And there needs to be some good examples set, or people that we can point to when we say, oh, these rappers' kids are doing terrible, or they're portraying a bad image and they're going against what their parents are preaching. It's difficult when people see Boosie as cool and people see T.I. as cool, and you're their kid and you're being told, oh no, you don't have to act like me at all. Okay, so you're perceived as cool, and as your kid, I shouldn't act like you, which is seen as cool. You see that difficulty there? And I think there needs to be a little bit more empathy on the side of these kids. It's a tough situation to grow up in. Of course, not monetarily, but the way you're being looked at by the fans of your parent, it's tough. But yeah, I'm about to go check out some Trey Budden music and see what it's hitting for. I wonder if he raps like his dad. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.